Hi everybody. I hope I'm live and I hope this is working. I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes to see if a few more people join us and then I will start. I'm from the Lakes Distillery, yeah, I'll just give a couple of minutes and then we can get going. So I hope you're all having a lovely evening in the sun, hopefully, or if you've enjoyed the sun at least. So what I'm going to start with is before I get into the introduction of the distillery and everything that we do, I'll make a few drinks and we can have a drink first because I think I probably need it and everyone else does. Today, like I said, I'm from the Lakes and we've got our Lakes Pink Grapefruit Gin. So this gin is a brand new gin that we managed to release just as lockdown was happening. This came out in April, which was really exciting for us. And it's a foolproof gin. We do have gin liqueurs as well, which I'll talk about later. So Pink Grapefruit Gin is brand new. And the perfect serve, we would say, is one I made earlier. And this is a measure of pink grapefruit, plenty of ice, like Dan had said. The more ice you have, the longer your drink will last because it'll stay cool and the temperature will just stay the same throughout the time you're drinking it, so it won't dilute it as much. Um, and then the tonic water. I would also say that if you keep half of your miniature for now for the drink, and then another half we will do later on for a little bit of a tasting, so we can do it neat and we can sort of nose the gin and understand the gin as it is. But as I say, the perfect serve is 25 ml of pink grapefruit, plenty of ice, and we like to use a Mediterranean fever tree tonic water. And the reason we like to use the Mediterranean tonic water is because of the floral nature of the tonic water. So you're really bringing out the zesty citrus notes from the gin. And no garnish is actually needed within this, but I will talk about that later because there's a reason for the flavour of this gin and our signature serve of the Lakes gin. And then we've also got a cocktail that I'm going to make. So I did post this in the group earlier, and it's simply it's a Collins. So it's our take on a Tom Collins. So you'll need a highball, plenty of ice again. So let's hope this works. So chill your glass down with the ice before we serve it, and then also in a shaker, pop your ice, and then of course the gin. So we're going to use 25 ml of the pink grapefruit gin. And we have 10 ml of fresh pink grapefruit juice. So I've pretty much just obviously squeezed the juice from the fruit before, and 12.5 ml of fresh lemon juice. And then also 12.5 ml of a sugar syrup. And then you also need some muddled cucumber. So all I've done is you can use like a pestle and mortar or the back of a spoon and just really grind down 2 slices of cucumber to kind of make a pulp, I suppose. So we'll add this in. And with the ice, all we're going to do is hopefully give this a good stir. And once you've shaken it, thank God, because last time when I tried to do that, it didn't come off. We're just going to pour that in. And you don't want any of the ice to come out of your shaker, so you've just got your gin, sugar syrup, lemon juice, and your pink grapefruit juice, as well as your muddled cucumber in there. We're also going to garnish with a slice of cucumber and a slice of pink grapefruit. And then you can top it off with any bubbles, really. So I like to use soda water because you're just going to get a nice fizz to your glass. But you can also use a tonic water if you like it a little bit more sweeter, a lemonade, sparkling water even, just something to fizz it up and top the drink up to make it a longer drink. And then you've got a pink grapefruit Collins. So the drinks are ready. I now have two, which probably isn't a bad thing. And yeah, I'll sort of talk about the lakes and everything we're doing and what we have done, what our story is. But firstly, cheers to the bank holiday. In lockdown, it's a little bit weird, but I suppose it's great that we can do these events and sort of celebrate gin and celebrate the spirits world together. So, but yeah, so the Lakes Distillery, we were founded in 2011, and we're obviously based in the Lake District. So we're just in between Keswick and Cockermouth, which are popular tourist destinations in the Lake District north of the lakes. Um, and we're located on Lake Bassenthwaite, which is one of the only named lakes in the Lake District. Like I said, we were founded in 2011 by Paul Curry and Nigel Mills. Paul had actually been a part of the Arran Distillers and they were a whiskey distillery, and he'd sort of been a managing director there and was on holiday in the lakes and saw a derelict cattle farm and pretty much thought, as he wanted to create a whiskey distillery, and that is what we are. But we do have gins, vodkas, and liqueurs. He wanted to find a location that was perfect for whiskey, and by doing that, he came across what was a cattle farm. There was water, there was land, there was a place for tourism, and already tourists there, and buildings which could be renovated into a distillery. So it was a listed building, and we are in a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So what we have is all that we can possibly have and all we can produce. We are at capacity now. So he took each brick down with the builders, brick by brick, numbered them, and installed the distillery into this cattle farm. And then the copper stills went in, a bistro went in, a shop went in, a tour facility went in, and also warehousing. And then each brick was put back in the exact place that it had been previously. And we'd created the Lakes Distillery. So in 2014, we'd first started distilling spirit. It was December 2014, so we've just had our 5th birthday last December. I say just, it now feels like ages away. And then in 2000 so we started distilling in 2014, then 2015 we started distilling the whiskey and becoming a whiskey producer. So we are, like I say, we're a distillery based in the Lake District, and we do predominantly make whiskies. We released our single malt last year, and we're on a real journey to be creating something quite exciting and quite special in the whiskey industry, and especially in the English whiskey industry, sorry. But we are here about gin, so let me move on to the gin and sort of what we're after. Today's example is the Lakes Pink Grape Gin, which is, like I said, the newest one. But our original gin is the Lakes Gin, which is our sort of classic gin that we've produced, and the pink root came from the classic serve that we have of the Lakes Gin. So let me go into sort of the story of gin and kind of why we wanted to create it. Our whiskey maker, Davil Gandhi, actually makes our gin. So he makes all of our products and uses the approach he has to whiskey making to making our gin. When he first looked at our gin, he wanted to create something that was a classic timeless gin, that would sort of withstand the test of time when it comes to all the sort of exciting things that are happening with gin, the lulls and the highs of people trying different things. We wanted to have something that would hopefully be drank for years to come. So this is the Lakes Gin is a classic style juniper heavy gin. We only use 9 botanicals in this gin, so we've tried to keep it as simple as possible. And those 9 botanicals are our core botanicals, which are juniper, which is obviously needed in all gins, and coriander. And we have our botanicals, which sort of enhance the flavour. So we've got cassia, angelica root, cassia, angelica root, orris root, and licorice. And then we've got flavours which complement the flavours which enhance our top flavours. So the other ones are lemon peel, bitter orange, and sweet orange. So we are trying to have a juniper heavy gin, which is also got the citrus flavours coming through from the lemon and orange. And also it's got the black pepper and sort of more herbal flavours coming through from the coriander and the licorice, as well as other roots and other botanicals that we use. And with the Lakes gin, our the perfect serve we recommend is the Lakes gin, a Mediterranean fever-tree tonic water, and then also a slice of pink grapefruit. So we've always used that within our gins, and kind of that is our staple. And then it came to extending the range. So we've also got some liqueurs, which we've produced, and they're the rhubarb and rosehip gin liqueur and the elderflower gin liqueur. And we wanted to at the end of last year, we wanted to have a foolproof gin which was flavoured. So the liqueurs are 25%, and they are great. They're based on the Lakes gin again, really fruity and sweet, with a lot of flavours coming through of the elderflower, the rhubarb, and the floral. And then Dabble, last Christmas, turned around to our brand director and said, "I've got a flavoured gin, let's produce it." And we then had the pink grapefruit gin, and the idea was that we had based it on our staple gin. So we'd created a juniper heavy gin, and we'd added pink grapefruit to flavour, to then have a gin which didn't need a garnish. And funnily enough, when we were talking about it, we were like, "Oh, but everybody loves a garnish. Everybody loves having to, like, sort of the at-home alchemy of making a cocktail and making a gin and sort of creating something really, really special." And then the idea now was that there's no garnish, so you've got a lot of ice, your gin and your tonic, and you're keeping it really, really simple. And then lockdown happened, and like a few people mentioned in the group today, that they couldn't actually get hold of a pink grapefruit, and it was quite a funny thing to see, because normally you're rushing around for pink grapefruits and trying to find them somewhere, and luckily enough I was able to get some from Tesco for this, otherwise it might have looked a bit daft. Then we've got a gin now which is citrusy, it's juniper heavy, it's really refreshing and classic, but you don't need a garnish, so it's an easy to make a drink. Also, I'm really I'm seeing that people are not able to get into the gins. I've only got a big bottle. I haven't actually got one of the miniatures, so apologies about that. I really don't know what's happened. It's not ideal, is it, really? When you want a gin and tonic, you be able to get into your glass. And I hope everybody can get in. Obviously, yeah, apologies about that, because that is not what you need, especially in a virtual tasting where I can't even have a bottle open to pour to you, because I suppose that's what we normally do, and that we're kind of used to. And yeah, as somebody's just said, bias. Oh yeah, massive apologies about that, because I hope everyone can get in and everyone can start tasting it, because it is a really sort of citrusy light gin ahead. So we'll talk a little bit about our distillation, and then we can go into a little bit of a tasting of the gin. So we infuse our botanical blend overnight to try and get as much flavour right. So we use our unique blend, which was the botanicals we spoke about earlier, with British wheat spirit and purest water, and we actually use the water from the river that flows past. So the River Derwent is close where our distillery is, and we have a river that literally is 100 metres away from the distillery, and we pump up water from the river into the distillery, and we use that within all of our distillation too. So we are trying to keep it as as much as we can to the lakes as possible. And I mean, water is a huge part of making any alcohol, but it doesn't define an alcohol or make it something necessarily, because once it goes through the distillation process and you've heated it, you've cooled it, you've evaporated the water. Yes, you need a really good clean water, but you could sometimes use the water from anywhere, and by using the water local to us, it just means that we're kind of keeping it as natural and local as possible and keeping to our heritage. So like I said, our unique blend of botanicals, British wheat spirit and the purest water, and then we steep our botanicals like a loose leaf tea in this British wheat spirit overnight, and we allow the botanicals to interact with that spirit, and therefore you're pulling out more flavour, you're pulling out the natural flavours, and also you're not harming the botanicals throughout distillation, so you're pulling out as much as you can before, and then it releases slowly, protecting like their natural the natural sort of delicate flavour you've got. And then we use our when making gin, we use a copper pot still. And the reason that we use copper is because it heats quickly, so we're being as efficient as possible. And also when the alcohol interacts with the copper, so when obviously we're heating the alcohol and making the gin, the alcohol moves, and by moving around the copper pot still, you are removing impurities from the alcohol. So the more the alcohol hits the copper, the purer and the smoother gin you're going to make. So then, whilst we're using our copper pot stills, it's a round bottomed copper still, and it kind of moves up into a thin neck, and then our neck slightly goes off into diagonal shape. And the reason for this is that when we start our distillation, the heat makes the sort of evaporation happen, and it rises. And once the vapor is rising with all that flavour and all the alcohol and making the gin, we want that alcohol to work as much as it possibly can. And by working as it can, you're also, again, creating a smoother flavour and smoother gin. So the alcohol rises and it struggles to get to the top of the copper pot still. And as it struggles, it'll fall back down and go back up again. And once it's sort of smooth, it will then go up and into the next process of our gin making. And that's what we want to do. The process of reflux is what we're after to create a gin which is smooth. And like I say, this is 46%. So normally gins are about 40%, and they are 40 plus or 40 odd. But we have chosen 46 because we really thought that this was making a gin which was smooth and really tasty. So once gin has gone through the still, it goes into a column where it condenses and cools, and that's where we actually create the Lakes Gin. So we haven't made the pink grapefruit, we've just made the Lakes Gin, and this is the base of our gins and our liqueurs. To make the pink grapefruit gin, we add in natural flavours once the Lakes Gin's made. And the reason for this is a pink grapefruit is just too delicate to put into a still, and to get enough flavour out of, we would need tons of pink grapefruit to create enough flavour for you to realise that it was a flavoured gin. So we use this natural flavour after distillation to make sure that we are enhancing it as much as possible and creating a pink grapefruit gin. The fruit is just pretty much too delicate to withstand distillation, but we wanted to create pink grapefruit gin because it has the characteristics of the Lakes Gin and lets the Lakes Gin still shine through. So I hope everybody's got into the bottles and has at least been able to make a gin and tonic, make the cocktail. I will post a cocktail on this after, and everyone can make it sort of after or whatever you'd like to do. But if you'd want to, we can do a little bit of a sort of a tasting of the pink grapefruit gin. So on the Lakes Gin, it's a simple gin. The Lakes Gin is a simple gin. Like I say, 9 botanicals, exceptionally smooth mouthfeel, and we're actually going to be using the Lakes Gin in June for another one of these. So if anybody fancies taking that again, I can sort of talk about the Lakes Gin a bit more. The pink grapefruit was the reason it was made was enhance, but also the flavoured gin category is growing continuously, and it's something that's really popular for people who want to experiment with flavors, for new consumers of gin who want to get into gin but maybe aren't ready for the heavy gin punch that some gins can also make. And then also sort of the premiumization of gin. You've got liqueurs, you've got gins, you've got flavored gins, and we wanted to be able to be within a category that was suitable for, I suppose, everybody who is going out and drinking. So the I suppose, if you'd all like to, I don't know if you've it's weird when you've got no sort of interaction with people answering back to talk about it, but if you'd just like to either nose the bottle, or if you've made your gin and tonic and you'd like to just, I don't know, nose it, you still get so much flavour and so many aromatics from this that it's kind of, yeah. So on the nose, you've got zesty pink grapefruit, and you've really got the citrus notes coming through. And like I say, because it is juniper heavy, you've also got the juniper notes. Like on the nose, it's zesty, it's light, it's fruity. There's delicious sort of lightness to it. And then once you drink it, if you want to drink it neat, I do recommend drinking it neat or first trying it, just because you've got a real sort of knowledge of what the alcohol is and what the gin is you're trying. And personally, if you don't like neat, you probably are going to have to dilute it with a lot of mixer and a lot of stuff like that, just to kind of be able to drink it. But then once it's on the palate, you've got the juniper notes really starting to punch through. And it's just, I mean, it's really light gin, but it's so refreshing and so citrusy that it is an easy drinking gin. And the bonus for us is you don't need to take a garnish with it, and then you've got something which is easy to drink as well as to pour and serve when you've got people around and you don't want to faff about, I suppose. It's always a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, that is our Happy Grapefruit Gin. It's really exciting to be here with you and kind of talking about doing things. So I'm just going to sort of look through some of the questions, and I've seen somebody's just asked if we're going to be doing other flavours. Probably. We do have our liqueurs range, which is a 25% gin liqueur, and we have rhubarb and rosehip, which is really fruity and really, really sweet, like floral note to it in the palate. So it's really nice to drink with a ginger ale or with prosecco. And then we also have an elderflower gin liqueur, which is the same again, based on the Lakes gin, and then after distillation, we added the natural flavours as the elderflower. And you've got elderflower, coriander, and juniper really through on that. So yeah, they're the gins, and then we have a salted caramel vodka liqueur, which was based on the Lakes vodka. So we have vodkas, gins, and whiskies, and the Lakes vodka actually won World Vodka in the World Drinks Awards in 2019. So we are trying to keep the quality of our spirits to as everyone is, a high level as possible, which backs up the fact that we're making a single malt whiskey, and the single malt whiskey is we are a whiskey distillery, but also we have our gins and our vodkas, and we don't want to let them slide. But the quality of a single malt whiskey is really what we're trying to do with the rest of our products. So we don't want to lose quality and lose the sort of focus of creating a luxury whiskey product, which is, it's really exciting. I mean, I've been with the company for over 3 years now, and when I first started, we had the Lakes gin, which was some people have actually seen it. It was in a smaller bottle. We've gone through a rebrand in the past 12 months. So we have like a swoosh as our logo, and we had a light blue bottle which was called the Explore Lakes gin, and we had the Lakes gin in a different bottle. And I think it was quite confusing for the consumer that there was 2 gins which were juniper heavy, and one was quite citrusy, one was a little bit herbal, but there wasn't a great difference to them. So last year, our whiskey maker decided that we need one gin and we just need a really good gin, and that's where the Lakes gin was born. And and yeah, so we're trying to keep this quality, the whiskey maker process going through everything. Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to try and look through the questions and sort of answer. Yes, so somebody just mentioned the blue bottle, which was the Explorer. That is still actually available on our website, which is Lakes Distillery. But if anybody interested in buying any bottles, that's where you can buy them from. It'd be great if you wanted to sign up to our newsletter to kind of see what we're doing. We will be releasing a few more products this year. We had a few whiskies ready to be released, and unfortunately, with lockdown and our bottlers closed, which is for the best at the moment, this moment in time, we haven't been able to bottle them. So we're hoping for whenever it's safe that we can release a few more things. Yeah, so I don't know if I've missed anything or if I haven't spoken about anything. It's kind of a weird. This is the first sort of good fun, but it's a little bit odd not speaking to people. And I was, so like I say, so there's the Lakes who make the slow liquor. Yeah, so we've actually stopped making the slow gin liqueur. That was from Helen. We've stopped making the slow gin, which was a shame, but we wanted to keep the rate simple and make it smaller. So we had something to sort of suit everyone, about 6 gin at one point, and for a whiskey distillery, I think it was a little bit too much. So we did have this. Unfortunately, we don't make that anymore. So you just ask about Bombay, which side is it? Yeah, have quite. I mean, all of the lakes just above me, and then I've got a selection there. Yeah, I mean, can't really do a gin station that's not in front of a gin range, is it? So you can't go wrong with Bombay gin. As much I adore the Lakes gin, and it's always a chosen one, the classics are still good, and you can't just. I mean, we'll all understand. You can't just drink the same gin that you want. You've got to keep going out and trying different things. And that's really exciting to take part in this today. If anybody's got any more questions, please just pop them in the comments, and I'll try and answer them. I've only got a few minutes left, which is kind of flown by, which is quite nice because I didn't know how it was going to go. And if you have any more questions, feel free to message the latest Facebook or Instagram page, and we can answer them. I will be doing gin tasting on the 6th, I think it's of June. I don't know. All the rolling into one at the moment. So yeah, anybody has more questions, I'll be on again then. What's my favourite gin? So I've got to say, the new Lakes gin was sort of re-established last year to be a little bit more juniper heavy and some black pepper, Earl Grey, orange citrus coming through. I've got to say, I love gin, but then you like a sort of spice gin. They're really good. I think there's so many gins within England who are creating really, really good products. For instance, their cloudy gin works is great. You've got gins across and also really, really quirky ones. I mean, I'm originally from Middlesbrough, and there's one here that are nice to see in our local bars and local pubs once they open again. So it's too difficult to have origin, I think, because the opportunity and the range available in most bars and pubs is just really quite incredible to try. So I do like to try a different one everywhere I go, sort of experiment with what flavours people are using. So yeah, I don't really have a favourite, but I do love the Lakes gin as a sort of a punch gin that has juniper heavy and black pepper focus. That's what I love. So yeah, it's 8 o'clock now, and I think I've stood my test of time. I've still got my cocktails to drink that I've not even touched. So I hope you all have a really lovely rest of the night and weekend, and hopefully I can see some of you soon in a couple of weeks for the Lakes gin. Yeah, so much, and have a great evening.